Hey everyone, this is Matt from the Sorry I've Been So Busy podcast. No new episode of the podcast this week. We're going to rerun our episode we did with the ladies of Glow, Rebekka Johnson and Kimmy Gatewood. Great episode, a lot of fun, and we wanted people to have another chance to hear it. If you're a fan of Glow, or even if you haven't watched season 1 of the show yet, you should definitely listen to this episode. And a couple quick announcements, please. I have a new album out called The Mac Goldich Guarantee. It was recorded in April at the Stand Comedy Club. You can get it on iTunes, Amazon, anywhere you can download comedy albums. Please check it out. And thank you to everybody for your nice comments so far. I really appreciate it. And sorry for not having a new episode this week, but we hope to be back soon. Both been very busy. Andrew is producing the new TRL show on MTV, The Reboot. So please check that out. And enjoy this episode, and stay busy, everybody.
Until I met my new best friend, all of my boys say I'm tripping. When they call, I'm not answering. They always get my voicemail, 'cause I'm...
Alex, are we rolling? We are rolling. Welcome to another episode of Sorry I've Been So Busy. This is the podcast where we talk to busy people about what they are busy with. Sometimes they're not very busy. They're fake busy. Today, we have two people. I'm so excited to have them on. They are legit busy. They're in a hit show. Andrew, why don't you go ahead and introduce our guests?
They're the hottest tag team on the planet. The Beatdown Biddies themselves from Glow on Netflix. Rebekka Johnson and Kimmy Gatewood.
That's right, you hot piece of ass.
Wow. Right into it. Awesome.
We're the hottest thing since sliced bread.
Is this microphone on? I can't hear myself.
Where am I?
I actually can. Don't worry.
I love that you guys brought back the word biddies.
we didn't bring it back ourselves.
Well,
the writers did.
Oh, it was in there. That's a good question. How much of like what you were doing was like improvised or was based on your own creation, or how much of it was like in there already?
A lot of the dialogue as the biddies was improvised.
Yes.
It looked that
They
way.
gave us a script,
Sure.
and then they just said, well, this is why we hired you guys. So just do whatever you want.
So like in the promo part in episode 3, it wasn't actually improvised. We wrote it all.
we pitched a couple of
Yeah,
bits to them.
The prank calls.
That was written.
That was written.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So basically, Dawn and Stacy, a lot of Dawn and Stacy was scripted dialogue, and then there was a
threw in
couple
a couple of
parts
things.
that we said we would throw in like an improvised line, or we'd pitch a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But the biddies, most of what we're yammering about is just improv or
In episode
or planned.
10, I had no idea that we were even
Mic'd.
Mic'd.
Yeah, like the whole time we're coming down the
That's the
ramp,
best way
just
to do
yelling
it.
and that was mostly.
Well, for those who haven't watched yet,
Oh, man.
Glow on Netflix is fantastic.
We talked about this on a previous episode. So you're a huge wrestling
Huge.
fan. So obviously this was like right in your wheelhouse from the
Yeah.
beginning. You watched Glow growing up,
Yes.
Andrew. I believe Saturday mornings,
Grew up with
right?
it.
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
I am somebody who could not
Philly
be
57.
less interested in wrestling. So I mean, like, this is actually, we have a very close friendship. This is the one thing that sort of like keeps us apart, which is like I have zero interest in wrestling, and yet I would say we both very much enjoyed the show. I was actually resisting watching it because it was about wrestling, and then I heard it was good. One night, wife and I were looking for something to watch. It was like, it kept being the main, the big banner on Netflix. We watched the first episode, and I was like, I'm hooked. And then we just tore through the whole thing. And it's so great. It's so great.
And you get through it quickly because the episode, they fly.
Yeah.
It was really great.
Yeah.
So,
I did grow up watching Glow on Philly 57, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
And you guys, the biddies are based on the Housewives, which was an actual tag team in Glow. I'm getting nerdy, but
I would
prepare
say that,
for a lot of that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, as you saw, I'm sure there's a lot of things inspired by.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like, they, those girls were actually like sisters.
Oh, wow.
And
Oh.
so there's a documentary about Glow, which you should watch.
It's
One
great.
thing I have not done is watch
Amazing.
I need to watch the documentary.
Yeah.
I'm doing it in reverse.
So those girls were sisters. Kimmy and our characters were best friends. So they like took the element of two people that work really well together. And we love the Housewives. I mean, I personally like think they're just so funny. Like
They were
when
the-
I was,
I love the sketch comedy element
It's
of
so
Glow.
funny.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Did you guys watch it growing up at all?
I watched it growing up after my piano lesson. I would literally take piano Saturday mornings and then afterwards stay and just watch Glow. I was like 5 and my piano teacher was 16. She was just a teenager,
Yeah.
which I think is funny that she would be like, just hang out, watch Glow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Here, let's
When
watch
I
ladies
first heard
wrestling.
this story, I thought she was I pictured some 90-year-old woman.
No.
like,
Yeah.
as her piano teacher, and then she was like 16. I was like, context is
Yeah, that
very
makes a lot more
important.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know the Glow rap? I do.
The gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
We're
Yeah.
the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. We're all
I don't know
champions
the-
in the ring. We come from the streets. We come from the city. We come from a world where there is no pity. And then each of the girls had their own little introductory
we've seen
rap.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have our rap in the show.
I know.
Right.
And we
Anyway,
say Glow like
I just
13
wanted to
times
do
at the
that
end of
on
it.
air. That was fun.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fun for me.
Did
That
you?
was great. Actually, I love it. I love that you could just like summon it.
He
from
wrote,
deep
he wrote
within.
for WWE as well.
I
so-
did. I did know that.
I worked
Yeah.
for WWE.
But still, Glow is such a
So
specific thing.
Chavo, who trained you guys,
Yeah.
I worked very closely with him in 2006. He might not remember me so much, but because I was super low man on
who
the
trained them
totem
in-
pole. the wrestling trainer on the show.
the guy who plays the
stunt
wrestling trainer.
No,
coordinator.
But he was-
the real one.
Oh, the
And
real
He
real
one?
wrestler.
himself is a third-generation wrestler.
Yeah,
that
so
was pretty cool.
we'll put this in context for anyone
Yes.
who doesn't know about the show or wrestling or whatever. So for 4 weeks, we trained before we started filming with Chavo Guerrero Jr., who's, like you said, third-generation wrestling legend.
The family is legendary.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Guerreros.
His uncle, Mondo, actually trained the real Glow Girls. Which
yeah.
is just like
I heard you
cool.
say that on the Sklar podcast, and
Yeah.
I was like, whoa!
I didn't lie when I said it there.
I love it.
There's so many layers and levels that are like hard to keep track of, where you guys are playing characters who are training and learning to wrestle, but then you're also training and learning to wrestle, but then you're also playing characters who are playing characters. It's very hard to
Yeah.
keep track of all the layers. But
it's
it's like,
a dream come true.
I know,
It's
right?
so
Yeah,
fun.
there's a
And
lot
we
of-
also we feel like our journey, like at Kimmy and Rebekka, was so similar to Dawn and Stacy, just in that like we didn't know how to wrestle beforehand. Neither did Dawn and Stacy. You know,
We
and,
didn't
like,
even necessarily know, like, I mean, I was like, wrestling, sure, like, that sounds interesting as an actor. You're like, I dream of learning a new skill, but then you're like, what if I'm terrible? You
Yeah.
know?
yeah.
And Kimmy was the best. The Chavo and Marty Elias, who's like a
Referee, yeah.
He like worked with us too, and they would called her Kimmy one time, number one, because she got everything right the first time, and they were like, you were a wrestler in a previous life, and I was the worst, so they called me nothing.
And you're a natural.
And you watched wrestling growing up. And did you watch wrestling growing up?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely watched it. I was never a super fan. I
Right.
just, just to keep up with your friends.
She didn't know the rap.
No,
No, I
she
didn't know that. I did watch it. There's a couple of matches that stick in my head, and obviously Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
You
come on,
didn't know
the
Hulk Hogan
Hulkster.
or
The
Yeah.
sex
Rowdy
tape,
Roddy Piper.
legendary.
I would know, yeah, like I would know Rowdy Piper from like a Slim Jim commercial. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't know. I
Macho
would
Man
never-
was Slim
Oh, that
Jim.
was Macho Man.
That's okay.
Yeah.
What was Rowdy?
Well,
What would I know
Piper was
Rowdy?
ubiquitous. I mean, he was everywhere. He was
Some of
in
them-
They Live, the movie.
I never saw that, but I mean, I knew Andre the Giant.
There
from
was the
Princess
cartoon,
Bride.
which
Like,
you may have come across.
I would know. Anything that crossed over
Yeah,
is what
yeah,
I
yeah.
would know.
I used to watch the cartoon.
There was
Yeah,
a,
Princess Bride, Andre the Giant.
There was a situation in the Real Glow that I remember watching. I was like 10, and the elbow dislocation.
It's in
It's in the documentary,
documentary.
and it was so upsetting. It was not a dislocation. It was a full.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
okay.
shit came out, the tendon.
I talk all the time. People always ask me, why have you stuck with wrestling all this time? You're like 40. Why are you still watching wrestling? Why are you so obsessed? And I always, the explanation that I always give them is that, with the major sports, the legit sports or whatever, you might get a holy shit moment maybe once a game, if that. Right? Mm-hmm. Wrestling manufactures them. So if you watch any wrestling show, you're going to get some kind of holy shit moment. And I remember, and one of the most memorable holy shit moments in all of the hours and hours of wrestling I've ever watched is that moment from Glow. And I remember I was like 10 years
Wait,
old.
It was Susie Spirit.
What-
right?
yeah.
Susie Spirit.
What actually
So
happened?
this like Amazon woman, right? This is all from my memory because I haven't watched it back. But the Amazon-y type woman like swings in, right?
Godiva, maybe?
No,
I don't remember.
I can't remember
Somebody-
who hurts her.
But she hits this woman in such a fashion that her elbow, the bone,
Actually.
pops through the skin.
Yeah, and so it was Susie Spirit who got hurt. I can't remember who was fighting her, but yeah, basically, and she in the documentary is like, it was my fault because we're all supposed to. The whole thing is you're supposed to keep each other safe,
Right.
And so she felt like it was her own fault. Like she was just only nervous. Like, am I not
just
going to be able to
fell
wrestle?
wrong.
Yeah, she fell wrong, and she was like, oh God, now I can't wrestle.
I can't believe they kept it in.
Yeah.
Oh, of course they
That's
did.
crazy that they would
Because
leave
it was
that
on in the mornings after cartoons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they showed like
And
a
it's not
really,
live. It's not like they
really
have to
gory
show it.
injury.
Yeah.
It's like that college basketball thing when that guy's leg broke.
Yeah, the Louisville guy,
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I was just watching the Netflix series, like, when's Rebekka's elbow going to pop
No.
out? I know. I know.
Oh God, don't wish that upon
I
me.
know, because then
no.
it'll happen like in real life.
Never.
So you guys have been performing together for a long time.
The Apple Sisters.
Yeah. Give us the background. What's it?
So we were doing improv at the UCB here in New York City,
Yeah.
and then we both moved over to the People's Improv Theater.
Yeah.
And the Pit. It's funny because when we left, like nobody really knew
It's
what the
like
Pit was, and now everybody
WWE
knows.
and WCW.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Now,
Good analogy. And we were like the only female teachers because at the time there was only one woman per improv team.
Sure.
I mean, we
Max.
thought it was a rule.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. And then people kept saying, you guys should do a show together. And we were like, why? Just because we're women?
Yeah, so we really resisted it.
Yeah.
And then...
And they were like, no, because you have a good chemistry and you're both very talented.
You don't know me.
and then Kimmy made...
That should be the name of the show.
It's just because we have tits.
Yeah.
So Kimmy made this comedic pinup calendar, which I thought was the funniest thing I ever saw, which I actually, later when we talk about boiling points, I
it's
gave
coming.
the pictures from Kimmy's calendar to the producers from Boiling Points and was like, you should hire this person.
Oh, it's
I
great.
remember that.
Well, but
oh my
they were like,
gosh.
we want like a sexy model, not like a comedian.
Right.
And I was like, all right, well, this is the sexiest person I know.
He's on a Corvette.
But it was a really funny like pinup calendar, and I was like, okay, I have to work with. Okay, I'll listen to all these people. I have to work with
and
them.
to add to the complimentary festival, Rebekka was like a magical, hilarious sprite. I've never heard anyone so funny in my entire life on stage.
So
It's
lucky
true.
we get to work
And
together,
yes,
and we
you guys
created the
did
Apple
Apple
Sisters. So
Sisters
there's
for a
three
long
of us.
time.
So Sarah Lowe is also in the Apple Sisters, and the three of us all we created it 10 years ago. We do 1940s musical comedy, 3-part harmony, slapstick.
We have if you can listen to this it's a retro podcast on Earwolf if you ever wanted to go back and listen
we still
to
do
us
shows.
again.
Yeah, we still do shows.
Unbelievable. 10 years later, you're still doing the same characters.
Same characters, but it's like with different. It's almost like
Yeah.
episodic because we
course.
have I don't know 15 at
Shows
least
and
shows, but we have lots of
100
songs.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Had you guys been brought in as a tandem to audition for things in the past, like before Glow? Because I think it's so cool that like you guys have been together as a comedic tandem for like 10 years, and
Yeah.
here you are, you get cast on the same show together to work together to be sort of a tandem.
We've been in like the Apple Sisters will be brought in like
we were on Bridesmaids, we're in the
Yeah.
Blu-ray. Like we were, we've been brought
We
in
sang
like
a song.
work together, and
Did
we
a
work
bit on
together all the
Conan.
time, but not as an audition where we would be a pair. Because
No.
often we'll audition for the same part,
Right.
but
which
this
is and then like right after Glow we auditioned for like people who
could be best friends, and we
And
asked to go in the same room, and then they were
were offended.
No
you
one
guys are
does that.
typecast as best friends.
I would
Yeah.
love that.
I
It
know.
makes it so much easier. You have a shorthand. And people are like, God, they really seem like best friends. We're like, yeah, because we are.
Yeah, people are like, how did you guys just finish each other's sentences? We're like, because we've been doing that for 10 years.
I love it.
So they brought us in together.
You're like the Beastie Boys.
Were the producers of Glow, were they specifically looking for people who knew each other or who were best friends, or could
For
they?
this part,
for
yeah.
this
They
particular-
wanted a comedic duo.
They
or,
wanted comedy duos. They
Yeah.
weren't necessarily looking
Yeah.
for best friends, but they
Yeah.
were looking for comedy duos.
You could be rivals, but a
Yeah.
comedy duo, and that
Right.
would still have worked.
It's funny though, and you can't fake that because I remember back from my commercial audition days. One time, like I just happened to be there at the same time. They were bringing people in 2 at a time, and there was this other comedian there who I knew, and they brought us in, and they were like, "Wow, you guys are good." And then like you guys are a team, and then we were just like, Yeah, we just pretended. It was like from then on, we were a comedy team until the end of the end of the callbacks. Just like just pretending to. But it was,
That's funny.
We should have him on.
I know who it. You know who it is? It's Ryan Connor. He was on Last Comic Standing.
Let's get him on.
We it's like our one thing.
You're gonna make Andrew jealous.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, we are the ultimate comedy team. What was funny was
we went to camp together.
We did. We were camp counselors together. We go way back, and then the question that you asked like 2 questions ago was literally the next question on my brain. So I was like, we have.
You get it.
He's 2 questions ahead of you all the time.
Yes.
We're gonna bring in the Apple Sisters and the Sister girls, and
Yes.
see who gets it.
Apple sisters.
To see who gets it. Boiling Points is such a meaningful show for me. I talked about it on the pod a bunch. My first writing job, I started as a PA, became a writer.
It's my first acting job.
First thing I ever produced. First thing I ever
still
wrote.
gets recognized from Boiling Points.
I got recognized at the airport in December from like a Jersey.
And they're like, "Where's the camera?"
Yeah. No, he's like, "I know you. And he's like, "Where are you from?" Oh, Boiling Points. And he's like, "I love John Blitt. I watch his pranks every day."
Hey, shout out to John
doesn't
Blitt.
know him in real life.
Yeah.
He knows him from fucking
amazing.
TV from long ago.
I guess I was like walking over here like, what do I even ask about Boiling Points? But I was telling you outside, like, I still have PTSD when I walk in like a deli or a restaurant that we used for pranking. So like, what are your memories of Boiling Points? Because for me, it's very meaningful. A lot of my best friends in TV came out of it. It's my first writing job, which like launched whatever kind of career that I have and everything like that. So it was a very great time for me in my life. So
it was a really cool time. I mean, I remember the first time I had to do a prank, it was for the audition, and it was outside Times Square.
The cell phone?
Yeah, the cell phone bit, and I had to do it like outside the MTV building on Broadway. And I was so nervous. I feel like this and wrestling are kind of similar because I was so nervous that there was one point where I just got really scared and I started hiding behind one of those like little newspaper stands and I could hear Frank and Adam be like, "Where'd she go? Where the hell is she?" And in my mind I was like, "You're either going to get this job or not, like based on whether or not you like get out from behind this newspaper stand." And then I did and they pushed me hard. Like I had to do actually more offensive things in that audition than I ever had to do on the show. I think they were just like, "How far can we push her?"
Yeah.
Were you there?
No, I was hired later, but she just had to walk up to people, "Can I borrow your cell phone?" and then not give it back.
Now, back then, this was 2003, and minutes cost money back then. So you can't just like use, first of all, you're using someone else's cell phone, and then I'd be like, "I have an emergency, can I borrow your cell phone?" And then I'd get it, and then I'd be like, "I'm in New York! How are you doing? Oh my God, it's beautiful here. Tell me everything in your closet, like list it all. Like tell me what you're wearing." And I would be really stupid and annoying. Yeah. And I know, those beats.
This explains a lot, actually, Rebekka.
But then I did that prank many times. I got it, and at that time I was the only girl on the show right in the beginning. Per the comedy rule, that only one female per.
Well, it's
the good old days.
Yeah.
It was a good environment for women because they needed one.
Yeah,
so,
they needed one.
So,
it was perfect for me because I became it. But I ended up loving it. I feel like pranking became like really thrilling. And I would be really excited to prank, and I just
there was a
fun.
Thrill to it. Sure,
it's thrilling. Like it's like when you're a kid, you prank call, and most of the time it worked.
Yeah,
I mean,
my biggest Rebekka Johnson Boiling Points memory is you played the like. Eventually, we sort of turned. You had this like lonely girl character where you would just cling on to people. So we were in Central Park in the Sheep's Meadow. Couples were like on blankets canoodling. And then you just walk up with your glasses in your like bag, and you plop down next to this couple, and you just don't leave.
And I played a trumpet next to them.
Yeah, and you become their best friend.
Did you know that? Were you going to tell this part of the story?
Yeah. So she does the whole thing, reveals. Everybody's cool with it. Everybody thinks it's funny. We go to get the release from the guy. And he's like, "Oh, I can't sign that." And we're like, "Why? That was hilarious. It was amazing. That would be like an amazing segment." And he goes, "Well, this isn't my girlfriend."
Oh my God.
We like outed him for cheating.
That is so
That same
funny.
day, though, this is the story I was going to tell.
Oh, wow. We told different stories.
That same day, my ex-boyfriend was one of the couples from high school. So I go up, and this
I don't think I knew
guy
this.
is like kissing this girl, and I pull out my trumpet. And I look over and I was like, oh my God. And I just started running away.
And all the producers are probably like, why is he running?
I thought we went through this in the audition.
It's my ex-boyfriend.
That is
Which
this is like
so
the
funny.
30 for 30 boiling point.
Yes.
That was funny.
That's
and
amazing.
The
Running
other
away is
big
exactly
story
what I
was
would
when
have
I
done.
got spit in the face.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That was crazy.
Ooh.
That was also right outside the MTV building.
Yeah.
And it was
Some people, I'm telling you, I have
that
PTSD.
was a bad place to prank. NYU was the best area to prank.
Yeah.
This was bad, and we were desperate. There was no like young people. It was like the best target was like 18 to 25. And
Yeah.
there was just nobody that age walking by.
Invariably, every time we pranked out of the demo, we got in trouble.
That's the thing. And this
Like
guy
when
was
we-
just like 30 something.
We Billy Merritt took some lady's dog in Central Park. We got sued. Like, just
Remember
terrible
Billy
things.
almost got pushed in the lake?
yeah.
I was there for that
my
too.
God.
But it was after that lake push that they started having
Then we had security on set at the end.
they didn't have
and
it for
then
my
the show ended up becoming like a lot of dates. There
Yes.
was a lot of setup, but the early days of Boiling Points where we
my
were just
God.
pranking
I
guerrilla
used
style,
to give
no
people the middle
setups,
finger,
nothing.
like where they would cut it out, but I'd give people the middle finger
Yeah.
to make them mad because I was like, okay, they'll get mad from that, and then you just cut out me doing the finger. Oh
my God.
Yeah.
And then after a while, they were like, you can't
You can't do that
Because I'd be
anymore.
like, I'd just whisper to them, fuck you, fuck you. And then that would never
Right.
make it in. But
So
Wait, so then they would turn around and be like, hey, what's up? What's that all about? And then that would engage them? Or
like, if they weren't getting mad from the prank, then I'd give
Yeah.
them the finger. Or say, fuck you.
like,
we-
I see.
The point
was
of the
to make
game
them
on
mad.
TV was for them
Right.
to stay patient,
Yeah.
and so they could win the money. But the point for us was to get those amazing reactions.
To rise
so her
them.
giving them the finger and saying, whispering "fuck you" in their face, that was for us.
When I had their credit card and I was saying, oh, it's not working or whatever, I was going to charge them $1 million, whatever.
that was
I
like
just be
every week. Yeah.
So compared to this, you had no fear about wrestling.
You are so
I mean,
ballsy.
This makes wrestling look easy, but given just walking up to random people on the street and giving them the finger.
Unbelievable.
Now I couldn't do. I mean,
Yeah.
I did the last prank show I did was 3 years ago,
Yeah.
or a little bit over 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was nervous. I mean, I did it. It came back, and I was nervous to do it. And then when I was doing it, I was like, "This is so fun!"
Yeah.
But I don't really want to do prank shows
Yeah.
anymore.
I
But it
get
was
nervous.
fun. I mean, it was fun.
Even producing them, I can't really
Well,
do
no,
it anymore.
no offense to the world of prank shows, but I feel like you guys, with the success of Glow, hopefully, you won't have to do any more prank shows.
I think
maybe
you
it'll
never
know.
fill
This
in
industry is
demand.
brutal.
Yeah, although they don't pay
true.
they don't pay like they used to. Now there'll be prank shows that have come up that have asked me to do it, and it'll be 1/10 of what I was getting
$10
paid
a
in
prank.
2003, and I'll be like, that's not worth it. I
don't
can't do
think
something
that-
I can't
I
be
might
doing
get
it
spit on.
I would rather
Yeah.
wait tables that day and make a little more money.
But anyway, yeah, it was a really good time, and
was
also
fun.
what
I loved
what
everybody.
a cast, because look what everyone's doing.
Yeah, Colton
Dunn
Dunn.
is on Superstore.
Allison Becker, she's
Allison
working. and
Becker
Kimmy
was on
writes
The
with her.
Office.
Yeah.
Yeah, Allison Becker and I just did a short
and Parks
film.
and Rec.
and
Allison
Parks
was
and
on.
Rec, that's what I
Allison
meant.
and Kimmy just did a
That's
short
amazing.
that's in all these festivals.
It's going to be at the Holly Shorts Festival. I don't know when this podcast is coming out, but
Yeah.
Probably next week.
yeah. All right, yeah, and Holly Shorts.
That's so great.
But
She's
but
the
also Nick Kroll, and people don't know, had been on in the pilot.
In the pilot.
Oh.
yeah.
Katie
Oh.
Dippold
Katie
was in
Dippold
it.
is like
I
a
mean,
gigantic
she wrote
screenwriter.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally have another credit beyond Boiling Points.
Well, it's a great one. So
Rebekka
yeah.
Johnson bringing up the rear of Boiling Points.
Remember Sauce?
Of course.
The
Guy named Sauce.
there was a guy named
There was
Sauce?
a cast member named Sauce.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe you
like
have
hamburger?
Sauce beat. You're doing better than Sauce.
Yeah, you're doing.
No, Sauce is a great stand-up.
We did some
funny.
we did some really good stuff with him, especially
he's
later on
hilarious.
Prankville, which
Yeah.
was like blue collar Boiling
I was
Points,
on that
which we-
too.
Oh yeah. I don't remember much of it.
You guys have had an awesome cast on Glow. It's like
Oh,
it's like a murderer's
Oh, yeah.
row. It's like to call you guys scene stealers would be inappropriate because of how great everybody is. It's like
good.
they're just like from the Allison and Mark, and all
Yeah.
the stars to like all of like the little bit parts. Like everybody is just like so good.
How
and
much
so
fun was the spandex? The outfits seemed like so much fun.
Very
Dress
fun.
up.
It was the best. Well,
Very
can
comfortable.
I say something about the cast?
Sure.
Is that
Yes.
even the small part, like Rich Summer plays Betty
Yes.
Gilpin's husband, and it might have just been a one episode thing.
Yeah.
But no matter what, the creators will cast the best actor.
Sure.
That because there's always a possibility that anybody from that
course.
world could come back. So even the smallest person from the casting director, who I thought was so funny, came
Mallory?
back.
Yeah.
She came back, and they just cast the best person. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of care that goes into
plus,
casting.
you get a little mini Mad Men reunion there.
Yeah.
Totally.
So that's
Totally.
exciting. Yeah, but he was great. And then, but what was I going to say? There was someone else that was like, oh, well, that person's in it. I was so excited, but I don't know.
I recognized she ended up playing like the terrorist like that.
Sunita.
Right?
Oh, Sunita.
Right. I just came off of working on a music video show, which I told you, and she's in Turn Down for What, which is the most
Yeah.
It
bonkers
is
music video
the
of all time
best.
with the pelvic thrusting and he like humps everything and
Yeah.
falls through the floor.
By the
She's
Daniels, yeah.
Her clothes get blown off in the video, like she's in it, and that was a big part of my show. So I'm watching, I was like, oh my god, it's the girl from Turn Down for What?
Which we didn't find out about that until, I don't know, at least a month or
I
so.
fangirled out when I knew that she
Sure.
was in that video. 'cause
Yeah,
I
we were like-
love that video.
Yeah, we were like,
It's
why
an
isn't that the first
insane
thing you tell
music
everyone?
video.
We were like, you should walk up to people and tell
Is
them.
she
I was
proud?
in
Is
that.
she like?
Oh yeah, no,
okay,
she's
good.
proud of it.
Oh yeah, she had like a hangout, and she's like, "These are the directors from Turn Down for What," and I was like, "Ah!" Like I freaked out.
Yeah,
Wow.
she's friends with the directors. That's
And so you guys did like 4 weeks of actual wrestling training with all the other women, is that right?
yeah, all 14 of us. So only Kia Stevens was a pro wrestler before.
She plays.
She
she's
plays
awesome
Teme.
Kong
Yeah.
Yes.
and Karma.
And
Yeah.
so she knew how to wrestle, obviously, but the rest of us didn't. So we did 4 weeks, and then on the days off from shooting, we would also wrestle.
Oh, wow.
We'd like prep for a wrestling match if we had something bigger coming up. Like
Yeah.
in episode 7, we have a big match, and 10, we have a big match.
Yeah.
7 is that the KKK?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That came from
Yeah.
your real life, right? That was the first
Yeah,
one.
they just looked at my Facebook page,
We're just
and they said, what do they hate?
Yeah.
Let's give them
Well,
that.
you know, the show really deals with stereotypes, and
you were like, I have the outfit. We can save money on wardrobe because I have it.
Yeah.
It was like horrifying when we found out because they kept being skirting around it.
we
Like,
didn't
they
see
don't-
it in the script first, so we didn't know
We
how
just
it
started
was gonna
training
play
for the
out.
match,
Yeah.
and they were like, so we're the good guys? And they're like, no.
This is literally so similar to the show, where it's
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
you know, it's revealed
like
at the last
same
minute. It's very,
thing.
it's so
we think
strange.
that they were like had microphones in the gym to
Yeah. I
overhear
know.
us because things that we all said while training was then said on the show.
Unbelievable.
Like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
That's hilarious.
And since that scene aired, now you're getting calls to open for the Trumps. It's
Yeah.
like it's the whole cottage industry.
But well, you know, we all
RNC
have a wrestling
2020.
background.
You're going
you know,
on
Trump
tour,
and us.
going on tour with Richard
Yeah.
Spencer, and yeah, no, that was a great. That was probably the episode where you finally get to see them wrestle in front of people. Was like that was probably
It was
my
great.
favorite.
It was like jump off
Other
the
than-
couch, excite. It was so much
Yeah,
fun.
and then the finale, like I actually got chills, like when the Pat Benatar song comes on, and
Yeah.
you're and during the montage, and like how
Yeah.
you see everyone's storyline sort of come to its natural conclusion. I was like actually like rooting rooting for people, which was unexpected.
As a podcaster, if I was on the show, I'd be like, maybe we'll get a chance to be on Mark's podcast.
Yeah, I
No.
mean, probably in like 6 years.
Yeah, there's probably a long waiting list to get in that garage.
He has to get through the rest of the Stones first, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. But he was great on the show too, and he's not really. I mean, he's played himself on stuff before.
Right, he
hasn't
said
really
this is
done
his
any,
first
like,
role playing
acting.
something other than himself.
And
Even
he
though
was
it's
great.
really, it's like written
It's-
for him.
Sure.
only.
Yeah,
Of
it's
course.
like a
He just became
one-turn.
that character.
Yeah.
His
truly.
outfits especially was just like every teacher that I had.
Yeah.
Like those
The
velour
science
collared
teacher that you know is
like
doing coke
long
in the background.
polos. Yeah.
You know that his wife probably bought him that. His character's wife bought that for him when it was nice, and then when they got divorced, he's
Yeah.
just like
Still wearing it.
You
And
know?
like the larger glasses, like my dad had them, I remember.
Yeah, shout out to Beth Morgan, our costume designer.
Yeah.
It was
the
great.
best.
And our clothes every day.
We can talk about spandex now.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
let's
Our
talk
clothes
about
were
it.
ridiculous, like so ridiculous. Like it was just like millions of leopard print, like crazy accessories. Like,
So when we first came in, they didn't know what Dawn and Stacy were necessarily going to be. Like, we became the heavy metal kind of look.
Yeah.
But after a few different options, we were like, they call it the Coral Dreams, right?
Oh, yeah.
Coral Dreams, which is just like a lot of like that 80s like pastel. And
Yeah.
kind of what
like-
Jenny ended up wearing on the show.
Yeah, yeah. And then there was another. We were actually, when we first went in, they were supposed to be 80s stand-up comics. So we thought we were like two little Paula Poundstones or something.
Right, so you had
They
blazers.
gave us huge
You have
shirts to
blazers
try on.
with your sleeves pulled up to the
Like
elbows.
huge button downs. It was
Yeah.
so funny.
It was so funny.
Judy Tenuta.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious.
And then eventually, Genji Cohan, who is the EP of the show, she said like she was like kind of missing the heavy metal look
Like
because of
Sunset
the cast.
Strip look.
Sure, that's a
It was
big
like-
part of
yeah,
the 80s.
yeah.
Well, there was
so we
the tag
became
team
those
Hollywood
girls.
and Vine.
Yes,
In the
which is
real-
which
That's
is ours.
more of what Melrose
Or
was. Yeah.
Spike and Chainsaw, I think. Is
Spike
what
and
they think.
Chainsaw too. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were more like heavy metal. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're the same ladies that played Spike and Chainsaw, played the New Jersey Housewives. They were the
Right.
same sisters.
Oh, I don't think I even knew that.
Yeah.
I bested you on wrestling.
Look at you.
Oh,
Knowledge.
boy. Shame.
Shame.
Now he'll just start quizzing
Shame.
us,
It's like,
and we'll be like, no,
Game
no,
of
you
Thrones.
definitely know more.
And you had to shave the side of your head.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's fun.
Yeah, we were like, do whatever we were like, we're so excited to be on TV.
We're
Do
so
whatever
excited.
you want. And on Boiling Points, no hair and makeup people. So we're like, hey, we have someone doing
No
this.
hair and makeup people. We barely had lunch.
Well, we were like, do whatever you want. And they gave us each matching side mullets.
Yeah.
I love it.
They just shaved the left side of my head and then spiked it about 2 feet in the air.
Yeah.
And over the course of the 4 months, Kimmy's hair just got higher and higher
really
and higher.
did.
They just didn't really cut it.
And all the crazy makeup.
Yeah. That
We
would,
Lot
had
of eyeliner.
the best. We
Yeah.
had the best makeup.
because we got to have that crazy makeup every day, as opposed to then when we're old ladies at the end, it
Yeah.
was like, it was cool makeup still, but the other girls were like glitz and glam for the end, and we were glitz and glam every day.
Well, let's talk about this. This is actually a good transition.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
This is the part where we normally would talk about what a day in the guest's life is like, and so I think it'd be interesting to talk about a day on set.
Sure.
And so for you guys and what that's like, and so if you don't mind just like taking us through that, I think it's actually something we haven't really talked to anybody about.
Yeah.
like as an
I think
actress
it'll be great.
on set. So like,
And I'm sure it'll go in all kinds of directions.
And by the way, yeah, feel free to. We'll get caught up in the weeds, I'm sure. But go ahead. Yeah.
I guess we'll kind of like break some things down because I'm sure not everybody's familiar with how television production
Get
works.
as technical
right?
as possible
Yeah.
and don't explain it. Thank you.
Well, I mean, most days, like on a busy day, like maybe at the studio or something, we would get up at like 5 a.m. because there's 14 women to get ready, which
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of 80s hair and makeup, so it'd take a few hours.
And the earlier in the week, the earlier your call time is, so there were times when our call time was like 4. Like, and we were going to then work for 14 hours because it would
Yeah.
take a few hours to get through the hair and makeup.
And sorry to interrupt, but you guys both during the shooting had young kids, right?
Yeah, we both had 1.5 olds, basically. Yeah.
That's
so
another
they kept
parallel
us
to
up.
the actual show, by the way.
Well,
But
no, not
sort of.
our
Not on
kids'
your
stuff. Yeah,
characters,
yeah, yeah.
but I'm saying, the balancing
Betty,
of
yeah.
the. Okay, yes, go on. Sorry.
Totally,
Yes.
totally. I know we'd actually talk to Betty sometimes about like
Yeah.
and the creators too. They also had young kids.
Yeah.
But we get up at 5. We get our hair and makeup done. We had trailers next to each other, and you could open. We just kept the door open between them.
Yeah,
Sure.
so that we
That's-
basically had one big room for not big, one small room
One small
instead of half a small room.
Yeah,
That's great.
The two of us.
Basically, a trailer. If anybody doesn't know, it's just like you'll see them on the street, and then you walk in. There's like a little kind of bench, and
Yeah.
then a sink and a toilet. It's like a prison.
Yeah.
But then your costume will be there, and for us, it was always spandex and 14 belts.
Yeah.
And all the girls, most of us were in these little, where there's like 5 tiny trailers in one big truck. So there were 2 of those next to each other, and we called it Glow Alley because it was like all of us, and we'd constantly be opening the doors, and it felt very
Look at me.
like vaudeville. Yeah, you just flash each other
Yes.
and stuff.
So after you get your hair and makeup done, like you have
Which
to
took
put
about in the beginning
2 to
like an
3
hour.
Now, in
per
the makeup,
person.
in the hair makeup
Yeah.
chair, are you on your phone? Are you sleeping? Are you reading the newspaper? What are you doing to pass the
We
time?
actually got put in separate makeup trailers,
Which
so it
we
was
were a little
really-
nervous
I know.
about being
Apart.
separated.
I know.
right.
My trailer was different than hers because mine was like quiet. There were less people in there. So it would often just be like, you'd be in there and I'd look at my phone. I'd read the script like for the
Right.
day, like look over it. we'd order breakfast.
Sure.
Like,
the PA goes to get you breakfast.
Yeah.
So you're like, I want an egg sandwich. You're like, I am a fancy millionaire now.
yeah, I would get like these same tacos every day, these egg breakfast tacos, and
Drink hot coffee
really good.
through
I
a
never
straw.
had the tacos. No,
They were so good. I love
No.
tacos.
Yeah, that's the big.
That's
Although we didn't, because they would constantly make up our lips anyway. So
Right.
I drank so much coffee and stuff. But yeah, we'd sit there, drink coffee, talk to the makeup artist. In the beginning, it was like a lot of talking, and then
Yeah.
by the end, it was sort of like that was sort of downtime. So I wouldn't sleep, but just kind of like.
I worked on a
relax.
morning show. We had Carrie Keegan on. I definitely walked in, and she would be like sleeping in the makeup chair.
Some
like
people slept.
Kia
4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, Kia slept every time she got her makeup.
It was so
done.
funny to see her getting her hair done, and she's just like nodding off. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Our trailer was loud.
Yeah,
We were
yours was loud. Ours was quiet.
yammering.
Yeah, 'cause everyone was in her trailer.
Right. We had the key, which is the person who does the stars of the show.
Right.
And so it was just I don't know why it was so loud. It was just I guess Jackie was in there. I was
Yeah.
in there. Kate was in there.
Yeah.
Like the loud mouths.
I love it. So then makeup. Then you're done. You're all made up.
You go put your costume on, and then here's what you have to do. What hair do I have to shave?
Yeah, based on what costume was set out for you that day.
Because they're
Am I
so
covered?
high cut.
Yeah, right.
You're like, do I have to shave my pubes today? And I'd be like, Rebekka, what's showing? You have to open your legs, close your legs, sit. You know what I
'cause you
mean?
have to
What
wrestle in this
part-
shit.
What an underrated thing to be concerned with from the 80s.
yeah.
This is where having a best friend in the cast really
Yeah.
comes in handy. I think someone
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
really trust.
But we all became best friends.
Yeah, by the
Hey,
end, we could
Marc
ask anybody.
Maron.
Yeah.
What?
Well, one
Yeah.
day Mark actually said there's the one episode where I'm wearing. It's basically a bathing suit for a prepubescent child, and it's like
Your
that's my
boobs
top, and my
look
boobs were
so
just overflowing,
big.
and I just have to keep lifting it up. And Mark was like, "Man, I never thought I'd be getting tired of seeing so many boobs." Like, 'cause it was just like constantly.
He's like, I've really
lifting
seen a
them
lot
up.
of boob adjustments.
Yeah,
because
it's when he's telling us that we're not going to have a show,
Yeah.
and I'm like slumped, like sitting there really sad. So then my boobs just kept like coming out, and it was so funny. But we, we had to shave our parts.
Hoo-has.
Yeah.
Yeah, armpits, legs, whatever
Yeah,
it is.
Sure.
You really
Well,
had to
I
clean
was
yourself
lucky.
up.
I would tape my knees every day because my knees hurt from wrestling.
Yeah.
So I was lucky because that means I get to wear like spandex pants all the time. So I didn't have too many pubes exposed. I didn't have to just have bare legs like Kimmy did. Thank
they were all
God.
about
The
Those
amount
bare
of
legs.
times we've talked about exposed pubes on this podcast. I mean, we should change the title. We should really change the name of the podcast.
Sorry, I'm
Yeah.
so puby.
So then you get called to set. You get walked over by one of the PAs to the set, which the main set was like the wrestling ring where you guys saw the
Right.
gym.
The
box.
warehouse.
Did you actually shoot it in Van Nuys? I know it was set in Van Nuys.
No,
No,
we
had a
probably can't say
stage.
where
Yeah, there
it
was
is,
like a
but-
stage, so they had different sets. Like all the interiors were on this stage, so we were in these like trailers in a parking lot, kind of.
That's good. I'm glad
near-
you didn't actually have to go to Van Nuys.
No, we didn't.
I mean, a couple of times we had to go up to San Fernando
Yeah.
in the valley,
Yeah.
but
I've had to go to Van Nuys before. There's no good
It's a little
reason.
porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in Matt's porn days.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
No, it was a God. What did I work on at Van Nuys? It was a pilot.
it was
for,
butts, and stuff. It was.
I'll tell you what it actually was.
Yeah,
and it
we
was-
be fucking three.
It was even
Yeah.
more embarrassing. It was where we shot the pilot for the game show version of the game Draw Something.
Wow.
Yes.
Did you host it?
Wow.
No, I worked on it as a writer, and that was where we shot
Sounds like something in
That's
Van
funny.
Nuys.
it. Didn't make it to
A lot
a
of
series.
artsy people in
Yeah.
Van Nuys,
Oh,
so
yeah.
it makes a lot
Always
of sense.
drawing.
Sure.
Constant
Yeah.
drawing.
That's where it's unfortunately where all the cheap productions are.
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah.
It's like nobody's getting paid well.
It's somehow non-union there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a non-union city.
Little enclave.
It's technically in Nevada, so that's allowed.
So
yeah.
you're in the warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be there. They'd
So
put
they
us-
built that set from scratch,
Right.
which is amazing because it looks so authentic. And even when you're there, you're kind of like, what? And then you touch it and the brick is just like plaster.
Sometimes the stunt coordinator who we did all of our own stunts, but the stunt coordinator was there to make sure that if we were doing stuff that we were safe. We would go through some stretches.
Yeah.
That was nice,
And
actually.
the director would have us do like blocking, kind of just read the script first without the blocking, and then block it out. And each episode was pretty much directed by a different person, so they had a different process. But some people had it where they knew exactly where all 14 of us would be in the area, and some people didn't have that part planned out, like the rest of it, like the main scene they would, but not the rest of us. So
those days we got a lot of overtime.
Yeah. We'd like place ourselves whatever around and pick your stretch. Kimmy and I often would pick a sitting stretch so that we could sit all day.
We learned
anytime you can sit over standing.
Smart.
I know. I remember Jackie the first day. She was like doing this crazy stretch, her leg like basically over her head, lying down, and she was like, "I really made a mistake."
Now they want that. They want that in every
for
scene.
6 hours today. Yeah.
The scene where you guys are in the background, like punching the wall and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so fun. But then they actually padded the wall. We were like, you really don't have to, but they did anyway.
I'm really glad they did, actually. Because even though
you guys are like running into the wall.
We're running and then banging our heads into the wall. But like our heads wouldn't have gotten hurt, but I feel like over and over with our hands like slapping into the wall would have hurt. Because you're really selling the pain, you know?
Sure. Look at you using the term selling. I love this.
These are just minor. I use a couple minor wrestling terms.
We are baby faces. We didn't think that. We thought actually we were going to be heels because the wives were. I mean, the housewives were heels. So
you're just too lovable.
Yeah.
I think there were too many great bad guys. They're
Chainsaw and what are the Spike were heels, but the old ladies, they're sweet.
Yeah. Right, you feel for them. You're like, I hope you guys.
So we were.
I did as somebody who went go to visit my nana in Florida.
Yeah. Don't hurt my nana.
Yeah.
Yes. She's just gonna kick your ass.
Yeah.
You want us to keep going?
Yeah, of course. Well, and then what if you had a scene?
Like it was be reading like you.
We were in
lines?
all. We had to act all the time because we were each other's background because there's no other people. So we were basically on set.
You're working the whole time.
Yeah, you're working the whole time.
And so when we read through the scene, if you have a line, whatever you have a line, and if you don't, most of the time we were all just there, like kind of
interacting,
and then you'd throw in a line here, you'd pitch a joke or whatever.
Sure.
Do a lot of stretching and like fake fighting in the back, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that was some of the most fun was like watching the stuff going on in the background. At least for me, because I'm like a wrestling fan, so I'm like watching you guys lock up.
Well, that's the fun thing about us, like, because learning how to wrestle is that then we actually got to do it in the background instead of just this like fake maneuvering. You know what I mean? Like we actually were like, oh, let's do this.
Right, we were let's do a lock
combination,
up and then
like hammer lock.
It was like,
mare, you know.
Oh my god! Totally. The more terms that come out of Rebekka's mouth, the more excited I get. This is just the best. Hammer locks, mares. Okay.
Yeah.
You're hard on under the table.
Sorry.
So how long is like an actual day of shooting then? Like when?
Probably 14 hours.
Oof. At least, yeah. There were some almost 16-hour days, but most of them, 12 to 14 mostly.
Wow.
Yeah. We would, after we blocked it all, then they'd have to light everything, and the stand-ins would come in. And then,
and I always had a man stand in for me. I was really, I don't know why it upset me so much. I was like, come on, guys.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's
always a guy.
He was also very well groomed all over his body.
Yeah, they just went by his pubes, like what they look like. Yeah.
You know what? I take it back. I feel good about it.
Yeah,
thank you. He was
completely
Jerry over here has a high V.
Yeah.
He would just get him right in there.
Well, Valley, most of them probably have no pubes. The Van Nuys.
Probably, you're right.
Well, there were like 6 stand-ins, I think, so they would just, there was never more than like 6 main like dialogue people. And so
how excited are you when they break for lunch? Is that like, oh yes?
Not at all, because there's constantly food.
Oh my God!
Oh yeah, craft service. Let's talk about that.
Yeah,
good
so
craft
we would
service.
go. Yeah, so the place where the locker room was usually where our chairs would be set up. So we'd all be hanging there, and then just off like through where the little toilets are, that's where craft service was. They're not real toilets.
It's all a sham. You're gonna realize that it's all just a set and a sham.
They just kept. The amount of food that's out at all times is insane. We had at least like 4 hot meals or 5 hot meals.
Yeah.
5 hot meals every day. Like at least just like rotating. Like
there was a cheese platter. There was fruit. There was yogurt.
What are
there
your
was cereal.
craft service go-tos?
Nerds.
Really?
Wow. Yeah, I ate so many boxes of Nerds. In my chair, there were so many empty boxes of Nerds. Like, like all the girls would comment on it. Betty's like, "Wow, you're really committed, really committed to Nerds."
Kimmy, you're
I like a solid banana.
Yeah, good.
See,
You're more in the Matt camp.
I would find myself setting like rules for myself, like okay, like no cheese before 3:30. You know, like, just to like keep yourself from just going crazy on it. Like, you know,
I gained weight. I couldn't keep myself away.
You know, I mean, you got to do what you got to do. As long as you're able to do the job. You know?
I've always found that they take craft service way more seriously in LA than they do here.
Yes.
Like here, they might just like a couple sandwiches from the bodega, whereas they bring like a whole trailer of a guy smoking meat and making, you know, breakfast burritos.
There'd be like a churro cart one day.
Yeah, just crazy stuff.
Well, one time I remember they got these like Fruit Loop Rice Krispie treat type things, and then somehow they weren't happy with them or whatever, and they're like, we paid $100 for these. It was like 30 Fruit Loop Rice Krispie treats. I'm like, do you want me to make them and you can pay me $100?
Yeah.
Like, this is so stupid. Like, why are
and they weren't happy with them.
Yeah, they weren't happy with them because they were like not that good.
There was always like there was a little rotation, right? There was like the like Chinese food, like there'd be rolls and little buns and stuff.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
the buns were good.
Buns. And
hot
then
buns.
there was the what are they called? Those bowls, the Hawaiian bowls
Oh,
with the rice and
acai.
the tuna.
Oh, poke. Yeah,
poke
sure, love
bowls.
it.
Poke bowls. And then there was this kale salad that they always had every other day.
At least with the wrestling, you're hopefully probably burning some of it off. Moving
Not
around.
enough.
Yeah, not enough.
Not enough to
That
warrant the
sit
amount
stretching
of food.
isn't burning that much off.
Yeah.
No, and they honestly, like, when we started, they were like, don't lose weight. They're like, don't lose weight. We want, like, real bodies. So I was like, thank you.
Best show ever.
Now that I've seen it, I'm like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have listened so hard.
Yeah.
But, like, I'll eat more of the kale salad and less nerds next time, I think.
I love that nerds became your thing. I'm like, Hershey's
love nerds
miniatures,
forever.
I have a problem with if they are in excess
Oh, they would
available
be
to
there.
me.
Yeah.
Which ones?
Hershey's miniatures.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
Crackle,
The
Mr.
Crackle.
Good Bar.
Oh, yeah.
I eat
yeah.
all of them but the Good Bar. I don't like the Good Bar.
Oh, wow, that's the best one.
That's my favorite.
Idiot.
We'd make a great
I
pair.
know, right?
We would. Here's my
too.
theory on craft service. It's very divisive. I always think dinner, most people would be I would be so pleased if it was just like sky-high stack of pizzas. A lot of crew members, they can't do it because people say they get mad. They want something more substantial.
Well, and you can't have that every day.
Not every day, but
3
like
months.
it drives me crazy sometimes. They get like these dumb sandwiches that have like one ingredient on them that ruins it for me.
Yeah.
So I'm always just like, why don't you just order pizza?
I agree. Like, if we produce comedy, pizza is usually the...
Yeah.
Pizza or Subway sandwiches.
Yeah,
I mean, but you don't have a big budget. That's all you have money
Sure.
for.
Yeah, this is like, you
There
know...
used to be that comedy show in the Lower East Side that had Domino's Pizza. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember. That's funny.
Anyway.
Well, did we cover pretty much the day? Oh, I had one more question about it, if you don't mind. It seems like a lot of times, if I was on set, every time I got a break, I'd be like checking my phone, but like if you're on camera,
is
the
your
whole
phone in a
time, like,
locker or in your trailer?
It's on our chairs.
In our chair, yeah. So like when they had to move the camera, then there'd be time when they're relighting stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'd look at our phones then. Sometimes I'd leave my phone in the trailer,
Yeah.
and then we were.
I guess if you have
really
a kid,
just
you really
talking.
need to...
Yeah, but we would just like joke around so much that sometimes you're not like just sitting on your phone. Like all the girls, it was like a constant sleepover.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
That's a good way to do
it was so
refreshing.
fun. Yeah,
That's
it was
awesome.
really fun.
A lot of pictures with your phone, really, mostly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of pictures, lots of videos of us doing
Right.
dumb stuff.
You've been posting. I mean, I follow Rebekka. I
Yeah.
don't follow you yet, Kimmy, but I probably
Can't
I
wait
will.
for that.
No, but like you've been
a big-
posting.
big move.
You've been posting the best stuff, like all kinds of just outfits and behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, because we weren't allowed to post it the whole time, so
Right.
we saved it all.
You're
up.
like this backlog.
I mean, there were thousands of pictures.
We have a
we have
shared-
a shared stream of pictures, photos. So we
With all
got
the
to-
girls.
Yeah.
Oh, do you have like a group text?
Yeah.
Yeah.
May
So
I
much
just
fun.
say,
Love a group
I just
text.
came up with this, if I do say so myself, but have you used the hashtag Glowback Thursday?
No.
Wow, like a throwback. That's good.
All right, think about it. I'm just,
all right.
you don't have to, I won't be,
Spitball in here.
I won't be offended if you decide not to use it, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Do you
love
have to
it.
give hashtag credit?
No, you don't
Okay.
have to. No. Yes.
Yeah, there's no emoji like where you do the camera emoji.
Camera
Right.
emoji, yeah. Do you have anything else? Or should we get to the...
So, end of day, you're done. You're out of your clothes into your regular clothes. Car take you home. Your
No,
own
we all
car.
drove.
There's no
yeah.
cars. Like cars really don't take people in LA to jobs,
And
even if it's far
sometimes,
away.
like-
Occasional, but
Like a
pretty much.
superstar of a network show, maybe, but not,
Right.
not
But they would
streaming.
give us stuff to take our makeup off because
Yeah.
it was like so much.
Sure.
I could
And they'd
never
comb
get
our
it
hair
off.
out. They'd put coconut oil in my hair and comb it out. 'Cause
And
it
then
was
you're
like-
just driving home normally, like you leaving the office.
Yes.
That's
Wow.
got to be weird. Was there like I mean, obviously it's a long day, but is there like a come down, like an adrenaline? Like we were just messing around all day. Like you can't go right to sleep is what.
Oh, I
what
got
I'm
right
getting
to
at.
sleep.
It
You
depends
can-
on the times. Yeah, because if we got out at like 8 or 9, then yeah. But if sometimes we'd get out at 2, and then you'd be like, I'm sleeping.
Right, I'm
'Cause
going
My
right
son's
home.
waking up at 6:30.
And you lived close.
We both
you
lived
said
10
on
minutes
the
away.
on the Sklar
That's
pod,
nice.
which is great. You didn't have to like go cross LA.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah,
Which would have
it was
stunk.
it was a dream job in so many ways to work together
Yeah.
like be doing comedy specifically and sketch comedy within a comedy,
Yeah.
and then to like only have like a 15-minute commute or less.
And our
was
kids would
the
come to
best.
set sometimes too.
Yeah,
That's
That was
fun.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, that
Nice.
was really fun. They'd run around.
it was the best.
And they got to wrestle.
My mom's the one with the boobs hanging out.
No, but my son Fred went up to Kia, who plays Tame, and was like, I like your legs.
Fred is the best.
She had like shiny tights on, but we were just like, all right, Fred.
Love
She
that.
loved it.
I love the name Fred.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
Great. Well, let's go to the blow
Yeah,
off.
this is the part where we talk about, is there a time recently when you've blown someone off or when you've said you were too busy to do something? Is there an interesting story you guys have? Or is there a
How do
typical
you go
go-to?
about-
Yeah.
Saying you're too busy.
Well, we have actually been pretty busy, and I have felt bad because you do have to start like choosing things. So someone will ask you to do something, and yeah, I think a show recently.
It's shows,
live
improv shows. People
yeah.
ask us to do improv shows, and I have been doing improv for 20 years. Like, I love improv, but at this point now, I'm like, I just can't like muster the
Yeah.
energy.
I say things are too crazy right now.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
yeah.
Things are too crazy
yeah,
right
I'm
now.
usually like thanks so much for asking. I just can't make it. And usually, it's just that I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There's
know.
no shame in that.
Yeah.
It would be weird if you were doing nothing all day and then couldn't make it out to the improv show because you had to sleep. But if you're busy, and then you have a very valid excuse.
Here's the mistake I make, though, and I
Yes.
still do this. I'm trying to train myself not to. Is I say things are too busy right now, or I'm sorry, I'm unavailable, and then I'll say, but let's find another time, and
Yeah.
then they will find another time,
Yeah,
and then
people-
I have to re-blow them.
People,
you know?
Yeah, you got to reblow them. We
No, you don't want the
Double blow.
Yeah.
the double. No, but that's
bloated blow.
I get into that is because it's a pleasing. It's a self-pleasing or not a self-pleasing, but it's a
Double blow.
I'm a
I get
people
it.
pleaser.
Yeah.
So it's just like, well, we'll figure it out. I'm not available now, but like hit me in 2 weeks and we'll figure it out. And then they do because
Yeah.
people are pretty persistent when they want to hang out with you or ask you
When they
about,
just need to fill a spot in their show or whatever,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and I think that's what it is. Or they, now that we have, the parentheses glow, I think that we might be a bit of a commodity, like just right now. So
Yeah, for the next 2 weeks.
yeah, for
love
the
it.
next 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
And that's exciting because I'd love to be used for my parentheses.
ride it, ride the
Okay,
parentheses
I'll do every
wave.
improv show.
Yeah, okay, great.
Okay. Oh God, why did I say that?
Is there going to be season 2? What's happening? You're
don't know
waiting to
yet.
find out. I would
really
assume
don't
that
know.
if they want to do it, that there'll be a season 2.
We have a lot of theories. We've heard from like a publicist that Netflix waits 30 days, but then like this one show, Castlevania, just got renewed the day it came out or something. And I'm
Wow.
like, well, this is all just.
I mean,
who
but
knows?
everyone's talking about it. It's like Derry out there in the zeitgeist. It was very good, very well received, and so I don't see why there wouldn't be, unless they didn't want to do it. But they have to do it. There's storylines that are
There's like
unresolved.
a strategy of like when they announce it, because like if it starts to people stop talking about it, then if they announce it, then all these other people are going to watch it.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So it might just be
Maybe,
about
maybe they're just waiting for it to die down a little bit.
or
and
something,
then-
I mean, it was such just a thumbnail. I mean, there's so many new characters and like places you got all the existing characters can go, and we want to see.
I mean, they literally didn't even I mean, not to spoil anything. They didn't even make it to the actual TV show.
Yeah,
they only made it through the unfilmed
Shooting.
pilot. So,
Yeah. Oh no, that was shot.
The shot.
The 10.
Yeah.
The 10
And that's
episode
just
10
the
was
wrestling. Then there's like personal things that
Right,
come up in
yes.
the show that like we want, like as viewers, we want resolutions to. So
Yeah, there was a plot of Sunitha's character that kind of got cut way back, and I hope that they
Maybe it
kind of
comes
go.
back.
Yeah, I hope they bring that back next if there's a next season, because it was really interesting.
And
sorry, go
Chavo
ahead.
too was like,
Yeah.
they were asking him like, "Oh, we've done so much wrestling. Like, where can we go from here?" He's like, "Oh, that was just like
That's the
tip."
baseline.
Yeah, and so now we're really excited, like looking into wrestling moves and being like, oh, what do we want to do next year?
Well, in
If we
terms
can.
of a possible second season, as we learned on Boiling Points, it pays to be patient, Rebekka.
Why? How long was it between seasons?
No, that was the tagline.
Oh.
When you revealed if somebody didn't blow up,
You'd say, "It pays to be
It pays to be patient.
And then give them
Yeah.
$100.
And then
Yeah.
you give them the $100.
Oh my God, you guys!
Shout out to Adam Dolgens, who most likely came up with that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Guys, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thanks.
It's
Go
been
watch
so
Glow
fun.
on Netflix, everyone.
Yes, please. Anything else you want to mention before we
Can
go?
we plug our social media handles?
Absolutely, please.
I'm at Kimmy Gatewood, Kimmy Gatewood, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
And I'm at Hello Rebekka, and it's hello, and then REBEKKA on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Follow us.
Follow
Yes,
us.
absolutely.
One more K in that name would have been very...
Episode
Apt,
7.
apt for the.
You might have to change it.
I might have to, just
Yeah.
for that one episode.
Yeah.
This has been so much fun. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks,
Big fans.
guys.
Go watch
guys.
Glow on Netflix and stay busy,
Stay
everyone.
busy.
Busy. Whenever I get with her, say I'm busy. And I'm gonna hit you later 'cause I'm busy. Busy with her.